The CMMCS next round of the season took place at Lydden Hill at the end of July 2022. The TinTops were back in action alongside the Super Saloons and Intermarques. All three series will have a separate video covering the action from the weekend. We'll start with the TinTops, and qualifying saw a returning Chris Whiteman set the fastest time. But sadly, towards the end of the qualifying session, he had diagnosed a gearbox problem and would unfortunately be out for the rest of the weekend. Therefore, Neil Gardner took up pole position with Ken Angell just alongside. Row 2 would be myself alongside Graham Richardson. Row 3 was an all BMW affair with Pete Winstone just ahead of Callum Perfect, debuting in the Class H class for the first time. Class H has taken over from Class T4, so if you're part of the 750 Motor Club Hot Hatch series, feel free to come over and enter in Class H. James Seal will be next up in 7th position, just ahead of Alex Martin, the leading T3 runner in his Citroen Saxo. Ian Seal will be next up alongside Justin Ross in his Clio. The grid was completed by Angelo Massinetto in his Saxo, John Wild in the Fiesta and Damien Smith in the ST150. Damien taking part in his first ever motor race, and we're very much appreciative that he chose the CMMCS for that first big event. Thanks to the organisation at the club, everyone was allowed a free practice session alongside their qualifying as well, so 4 sessions for all competitors throughout the day, which meant lots of good running and getting to know the track, which was very much appreciated, I'm sure. The Lydden track is very abrasive, so one thing to keep an eye on was the tyre degradation throughout the day. It was also very hot at Lydden Hill, so keeping an eye on everything throughout the day was going to be very important. First race of the day would see Gardner take the lead and then just continue increasing his gap over Ken Angell in 2nd position. The two were clearly the fastest two on the day, Gardner putting in very consistent lap times throughout, his fastest lap coming on lap number 10 with a 47.738. Ken, who had admitted himself was on some older tyres because of the abrasive surface at Lydden Hill, was taking it a little bit more cautiously with a 49.544, but then again he wasn't on his best tyres, so we'd expect to see him a lot closer to Gardner on his usual tyres.
On the civic battle here between Richardson, Baldwin and you throw the BMW.
Early on it'd be Richardson having a great start, moving up into 3rd position, and he was battling with Winstone early on. But Winstone would get past on lap number 5. We then saw the Class T1 Honda suffering with tyre degradation, and unfortunately Graham would have to pull off on lap number 7. This would put Winstone up into 3rd position until lap number 9, when then he retired as well. This elevated myself back up to my starting position of P3, although I was having a really good battle with Callum Perfect. Towards the end of the race, there was a great battle between Alex Martin and Ian and James Seal, battling over the 5th position spot. Initially it looked like Alex Martin had the upper hand until lap number 17, when James managed to nip by. He was then later followed 1 lap later by Ian into 6th position. So some great battles throughout the field. It'd be Neil Gardner taking the win in his Class T2 Civic ahead of Ken Angell, who also won Class T1. I would finish in 3rd position, followed by Callum Perfect, who won Class TH, followed by James Seal, Ian Seal, Alex Martin, John Wild, Justin Ross and Angelo Massinetto, who had suspension dramas towards the latter part of the race, seeing him fall down the order, unfortunately not able to make it out for the 2nd race of the day. Our 3 retirements would be Damien Smith, Pete Winstone and Graham Richardson. A real shame for all 3 runners who were looking quick throughout, especially for Damien Smith not completing his first race, but we'll hopefully see him back with the club very soon to make his full race debut with the club. So race number 2 would be unfortunately without Massaneto, Smith and Winstone, but at the front it would be Angell making a fantastic start. The green BMW quickly got ahead of Gardner on the rolling start, but Gardner then started to up the ante early on, getting past Ken on lap number 3 and then stretching his lead. Callum Perfect had also made a quick getaway and ran in 3rd position. We then saw Richardson making his way through the field after starting at the back of the grid. Some really quick lap times from Graham, and great to see him getting through the field, and he initially got through into 3rd position, then chased down Ken to get P2 but couldn't quite get up to take the lead of the race, so he would settle into 2nd position for the second part of the race. There were some more great battles throughout the field once more. I had a memorable battle with Callum Perfect. We went side by side through the last couple of corners for a number of laps, and one of the best battles I've personally had in motorsport. Even though I've only been doing it a few years, I've got to say some great clean fair racing with Callum, which I very much appreciated. I eventually managed to get past Callum on lap number 12 and try my best to close down Ken Angell in 3rd position. I was putting in some decent lap times, but I wasn't able to get past Ken, who was suffering quite badly with brake dramas in the latter part of the race, which briefly saw him in the gravel trap. So once again it will be a win for Neil Gardner in his EP3 Civic, ahead of Graham Richardson, who this time would take Class T1. 3rd would be Ken Angell in his BMW E36, followed by myself. Callum Perfect would once more win Class TH. James Seal will beat Ian Seal in the battle for 6th position, a slightly bigger gap between the two in comparison to the first race. Alex Martin was keeping Ian under pressure throughout, but wasn't quite able to squeeze away past. Next up will be John Wilde and Justin Ross completing the finishers. All 10 cars that started the race would end up finishing. So we had a very interesting few races for you today then. How did it go? Let's start with race 1.
Race 1, I was going to, before that, actually practice, because I was fastest in practice, and I spoke to James about the gears I was using for corners, and then told him everything that I did. And so he went out in qualifying and did those things and went faster. I didn't do the things I said I did. I tried something different. So he qualified better than me for race 1. Race 1, then, it was me chasing James for almost the entire race. How did it feel with me in your mirror?
It's well, only being my second proper race. It was very unnerving to actually be ahead, and certainly when it came to race 2 as well, when we were lined up on the grid together, that was also very nervous. The first lap or 2 being side by side with your father going into every corner. So yeah, that was very dicey, and we had an overtake or 2 in that second race.
We did. I mean, I don't like being on the outside at Lydden because you can really get screwed, but I managed to sort of stay in position around the outside of Chessons and then tuck inside at Devil's Elbow, and that's where I got James and got past him. And then I stayed ahead for probably 2-3 laps maybe, but then he got me inside the hairpin, and that was it. Once he got past me, he was away.
So Ian, just quickly on to you, obviously you've done the GP circuit before. Any words of wisdom?
Words of wisdom. The GP circuit is quite, it's enjoyable, and there's nothing tricky. I think the only thing which is the rise at Pilgrim's Drop and into Hawthorns, it's braking as late as possible and going deep into Hawthorns and sort of carrying the speed around. But the rest of it, I mean, Sheen's quite easy, Westfield's quite easy, and Sterling's, you've got Camber working with you. We shouldn't really be saying this because it's just going to get help him out.
Well, I think it's just, I just have to know that when you get to Kipper Straight, I actually need to go left instead of straight on.
There are people that have done this.
So some fantastic battles throughout the grid, and all of us were looking forward to watching the other races out there at the weekend. Some oval racing, also some racing from the other CMMCS series, which we'll get to very shortly on the channel. So a massive thank you to everyone that put on this event. As a competitor, very much appreciative to have the 4th session, the practice session at the start of the day. I think that really helped me out quite a bit. So we'll look forward to coming back to Lydden Hill hopefully next season, but our next round for the TinTops will be at the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit in the middle of August. So we'll see you there for that, but we'll see you in a few days' time for the Intermarque and Super Saloon review videos. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.